Every day the stonecutter would leave his house at the side of the village and chip away at the edge of the mountain, looking for jewels or precious gems. And every day that he went to the mountain, he would pass the palace where the sultan lived. The sultan was like the king of the land. And the stonecutter didn't feel very important. I mean, all he did was chip away at the base of the mountain. And he saw the sultan's palace, and he saw the sultan was riding along in his throne on the backs of the strongest men in the army. The stonecutter thought, oh, if only I were the sultan, then I would be important. Then I would be great. Then I would have a good job to do. I wish I were the sultan, he cried out. And that day his wish was granted, his prayer was answered, and the stonecutter became the sultan. And there he was in his palace. With his hand raised, he could send 1,000 men to war. And the people would bow before him out of respect, and he rode in his carriage on the backs of the strongest men. It was fabulous. But then one day he noticed that both he and all the people were sweating and hot and uncomfortable. He looked up at the sun, and he tried to tell the sun to stop it, but the sun didn't listen. And so the sultan, who had been the stonecutter, said, "There's one thing stronger than I, one thing greater, and that is the sun. If I want to be great, truly great, then I must become not a sultan, I must become the sun." And that day his wish was granted, his prayer was answered, and the stonecutter who had been the sultan became the sun, blazing hot and high in the sky, down upon the earth. And the people were sweating. The sun was so powerful. Nothing was stronger than the sun. But then one day a cloud passed in front of the people, and the shade gave the people relief, and then rain cooled them off. And the sun said, "There's one thing stronger than I, that cloud. If I truly wish to be great, then I must not be the sun, I must become that cloud. I wish I were the cloud." And that day his wish was granted, his prayer was answered, and the stonecutter who had been the sultan and the sun became a cloud, holding back the sunlight from the people, giving them shade and relief and rest and rain on their heads. And it was great being a cloud. Sultan couldn't tell him what to do. The sun had no power over him. But then the wind came along. The wind pushed cloud out over the ocean where it couldn't rain or cool anyone off at all. And cloud said, "There's one thing stronger and greater than I, and that is the wind. If I want to be the greatest thing of all, I must be not a cloud, I must become the wind. I wish I were the wind," cried the stonecutter. And he was the wind. His wish was granted, his prayer answered. And now he became the wind. He pushed the clouds out of the way. The sun could not touch him. The sultan couldn't control him. Nothing could. He was the greatest thing of all until he blew into the side of a mountain. And he couldn't blow through it. He had to blow over top or around the sides. And wind thought, "There's one thing stronger than I am, only one, and that is that mountain. If I want to be the greatest and strongest, most important thing of all, I must become the mountain." And so the stonecutter became the mountain. And nothing was stronger than the mountain. And the sultan couldn't tell him what to do. The clouds had to part and pass, and so did the wind. Even the sun could not overpower the mountain. The mountain felt strong and powerful. "Now I am great," thought the mountain. But then it felt a small pain at its base. It looked down, and there was a stonecutter who had left the village with his chisel and hammer. And he was chiseling away at the base of the mountain. And the mountain thought, "There's one thing stronger than I, and that's stonecutter. If I truly wish to be great, I need to be a stonecutter. I wish I were a stonecutter." And so the stonecutter became a stonecutter. And every day that he left the village and went to work at the base of the mountain, from then on, he finally realized just how powerful and how important he truly was.